Assalamualaikum. Welcome to Expert Insights, organized by MCOB, which stands for Allied Muslim Chamber of Business. MCOB is a membership-based social enterprise with a mission to create a thriving Muslim business community. It's the power of collective wisdom, continued learning, and thought leadership brought together for Muslims by Muslims. Our core belief is that business leaders thrive when they have access to a supportive community of peers who challenge and inspire each other. To learn more about MCOP, please go to amcob.org. Today, our guest is Huy John Yahya Vu, CEO at Resify. Today, we will be covering a comprehensive understanding of the IPO process from preparation to execution as John provides expert insights into the steps involved in taking a company public. Welcome, John. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam, brother Kashif. Thank you for having me out there. I really appreciate your time and everyone else's time as well.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Looking forward to hearing more about the IPO process. Why is it important, and why do you think companies should go for the IPO process?
Yeah, well, there's many ways, but I'm going to try to explain it as realistic as possible where people can identify with a growing business. Okay, so first, when you first start a business, you use as little capital as possible, and you start testing it to see if there's actually money that's being created out of this new business, baby business, and then the baby grows, right? And then it starts to need more resources, specifically money and people. Okay, and then well, you're gonna have to go borrow it. So usually the first people that you ask is mom and dad, maybe
Mhm.
a rich uncle, and you grow the business. It starts working. Everyone's excited, and it gets to the point that you may need to get a business loan. But as you know, business loans are very limited, just because there's not a lot of security that is like a home when it comes to a business loan. So business loans are very limited in how much money you can get. So you'll get a business loan, and soon you will use all that lines of credit, whatnot. And then it gets to the point, and every business gets to this point. Every business owner has to make a choice at one point. Do I sell now? Okay. Or do I just keep the same size and stay the way I am? Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you decide to stay where you are, then you know what to do. But if you want to sell, then there's a few choices, right? And what I'm familiar with is there's either you sell to private equity
Hmm.
or you go public, one or the other. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages of both, but I'm just going to focus on the IPO process. The nice thing about going public is the fact that you still remain in control of the company and you can exit at the same time. Okay, this
Okay.
is very unique. Whereas other means you sell once you sell, either you have to stick around for a few years and you have a boss. So it's like you built this awesome business, but now you have a boss,
Hmm.
which is very deflating to the ownership. And you have no idea what type of future that your new boss, your new owner has for you. Where when you go public, you still remain in control, and you have to basically make the shareholders happy. Okay,
Hmm.
so when you go public, you can attract public funds, and that's why you go public, and you take that capital as long as you have supporters out there, which is your shareholders, right? That support your business vision, support your niche uh, that you're currently exploiting, and you get the news out there, and you touch base with your shareholders on a consistent timing,
Okay.
um, then uh, you have a thriving business at that point. So
Okay.
many reasons to go public, but yeah, those are just to name a few. And I was just trying to be as realistic as possible.
Okay. All right. So, in terms of the growth, you are, and just to share with the audience a brief, like, about your why you are passionate about Muslim businesses to go public. If you want to share a little bit about that thought process.
Well, thank you, Brother Kasha, for this question. Well, I'm a revert to Islam. It's going to be 2 years in November,
Okay.
and before I reverted, I was very, very active in the Vietnamese American community. Okay, so I always felt that it takes a few leaders to basically push a community forward, and the Vietnamese community was very fractious. I didn't think that we could ever really unite, but I did help run the first nationally associated Vietnamese American bank. It
Okay.
was called Saigon National Bank at the time. We rebranded to California National Bank. I was counsel. I was legal counsel over there, but my
Hmm.
task was actually quite much larger than the title. And then I'm currently doing an IPO, the first Vietnamese American um, IPO for in a national exchange
Hmm.
on the New York Stock Exchange, and I felt like the critical mass for the Vietnamese American community has finally come. Like it's about 3 to 3.5 million people, and
Okay.
I felt like we were able to have our own institutions at that time, our own foundational companies. And I'm very lucky that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala blessed me with that. But after I reverted, um, when I became into the Muslim community, I noticed like, wow, it's kind of similar to the Vietnamese community, like maybe 2 years ago. It's like I had this like little crystal ball even, and well, I just didn't really think much of anything until October 7th happened, unfortunately, and and I was thinking, wow, like our community needs to rally, right? It needs its economic strength to show. It needs true economic empowerment, right? And I feel that the time has come for our ummah, our community, where we have concentrations, in certain states, certain cities. Here in California, I'm in California, and Anaheim, Irvine. It seems like these communities are getting to the point where, okay, we can rally behind ourselves now, and that's where we're all on a backbone. Before I move forward, I'm actually a UN certified international human rights attorney. I got certified in
Okay.
2007 in Strasbourg, France, at the European Court of Human Rights. And when I first started my career, I was trying to go down that path, and I couldn't pay my student loans, and so I decided to go into banking and try to make some money. And when I became a Muslim, I kind of had to all those activities aside and to focus on something new now. And that's why I'm passionate about the Muslim community. I love our community. I feel that our community needs a lot, and I feel that we're very underserved, underprivileged in the United States. As talented and strong and smart as we are, I still feel like there's a lot of need that needs to go to this community to build it to the next level.
Okay. No, thank you for sharing that. And I love the passion that you have for the community. So may Allah bless you for that. Let's talk about the steps and the size of the company. Now, most of the companies, like when you think of IPO, you think of that, okay, now they have to be like certain size, certain volume of transactions to happen. Dennis, share with us a little bit about what's the minimum that is required for a company to go IPO?
Okay, yes, this is a great question. It does for the national exchanges, it does require a certain maturity for a company and its size. Okay, and the size is based purely on numbers. You could have one employee and still go public. That doesn't matter. It depends. You might have to be in operation in 2 years, depending on how you choose to qualify. But when it comes to the minimums, it's actually quite easy. It's actually not hard at all. Basically, you have to have financials that show. There's basically two ways for companies that are private to become public. The first way is called the net income standard. Okay,
Okay.
and the net income basically 2 out of the last 3 years, you have to have audited financials that show that you've made a net income of $750,000 or
Okay.
more for 2 out of 3 years. It's best to have it the last 2 years,
Hmm.
um, because then you save money on the third audit, right?
Okay.
Uh, which can be very expensive, and that's a grueling process on its own. So that's one way. It's called the net income standard, and the second way is called the equity standard. Okay, and this is where basically if you raised $15 million for your company, um, they will be able to take that and to list you. But let's say you're short. Let's say you've only raised 10 million, right? Then the bankers would just have to raise another 5 million for you for a total
Okay.
of 15 million. Now, there's reasons for both standards. The net income standard obviously is because you're a profitable company, right? And this is something that other people, other shareholders want to participate in. And then the $15 million equity standard, the reason for that one is to show that the public is supporting you, right? Someone or a group of people or somebody is supporting you, and therefore it's worthy of a listing on the national exchange. Okay. And
Okay.
both of them require a 2 year operational history. Equity standards, sometimes you can get away with no operational history, but that's quite rare.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then there's other, I would say minor, but it's worthy of discussion. You would need a minimum of 300 shareholders
Hmm.
that hold a round lot of shares. Okay, a round lot of shares is 1,000 shares, and the minimum share price is about $4. Okay, so you need about 300 people holding at least uh, $4,000 worth of shares, and
Okay.
yeah, and then everything else that you're deficient of, usually the investment banker makes up. So let's say you only have 280 shareholders, they'll come up with the other 20. Or let's say you only have two shareholders, they'll come up with the other, 298 shareholders for you. That's kind of what the investment banker does for their fee, which I think is, I think they take way too much, uh, and for what they do. Um, but yeah, it's not hard to meet the minimums of listing, right? I'm
Hmm.
sure I'm sure there's tons of Muslim businesses out there that qualify.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are many. Are there any particular industries where you see that IPO should be a good option?
Oh yes. Okay. The most 100%, the most important thing is for the community to be excited about it, right? Okay. So let's just choose a generic secular business like Tesla. Okay.
Mhm.
So Tesla, being an electric vehicle company, has way less employees than the big three, right? Ford, and Dodge, and Chevy,
Yeah.
GM. Uh, been around for a lot less. Their shares have dividends. I mean, it's a great stock, very profitable, very well-known brands, but you add them three together and they're not even half the size of Tesla. And the reason for that is because there's a perception that the big three are going to go extinct, like extinct dinosaurs, and Tesla's the future, right? And so everyone's excited about that. But when it comes to um, our industries, like for Muslim industries, I think we need the foundational ones for people to be excited about. How about a company um, that's rallying around our elderly, right? Um, I feel that there's a huge disconnect when it comes to uh, how, as Muslims, we're supposed to take care of our parents
Mm-hmm.
and our grandparents versus how it's generally done in America, by putting someone into a nursing home, like putting your mom or dad into a nursing home, which is we feel is wrong. But at the same time, what choice do we have when you live in California and you need dual income to, or wherever you live, you need dual income to stay afloat,
Uh-huh.
right? And so we need a solution for that. We need a community solution for that, right? Like it's not just, and we need a good one, right? So we can't just, we're not going to throw our parents into nursing homes, but at the same time, we're not going to neglect them at home either. So the community needs to rally behind an industry as such, right? And so that's one. Uh, uh, and I feel that's something that we can unify around, right? Taking care of our parents, like
Mm-hmm.
that's not something that we're going to fight about. Like, oh, uh, I don't like, I just can't imagine someone saying, oh, I don't want that, right?
Yes.
Um, there's other foundational industries, for example, mortgages, right? We as a community, we have a big problem with uh, mortgages, and I speak of this because I had to give up mortgages since I became
Yeah.
Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
and but there's solutions out there that is mortgageless, right? The only problem with those solutions is that they run out of funding because either not enough people know about it,
Uh-huh.
or two, they just want to stay small so they don't attract attention from the banks, right? But for me, it's like there's not enough firepower in lease to own companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where you make the profit up front, let's say whatever the margin is, versus over 30 years under interest, right?
Yep.
And the margin up front is fixed, okay? And so there's solutions out there uh, that we can either take public or build. But as you know, Brother Kashif, owning a home in
Mm-hmm.
America uh, is the largest and quickest equity builder, your wealth builder, in the United States at least,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for us to be excluded from that is that's a huge hit on our community, to absorb that. I know so many brothers and sisters that refuse to take a mortgage, but there's just no way they're going to save up $1 million to buy a home, especially after husband and wife go to work. There's only $1,000 left a month, let's say, disposable income. I mean, how long is it going to take you to save up $1 million? Saving $1,000 a month, right? It'll take forever. So I feel that these are several areas I identified, just being a Muslim for the last
Mm-hmm.
couple of years and just being observant. And I see that these are two areas that I feel that our community can rally behind, and I do want to work on those solutions for us.
Okay. No, thank you for sharing that. As you're definitely bringing a new perspective into the community in a way that you have been with Vietnamese community throughout your life, and you saw how they have got to the point where they are, and now you are looking at the Muslim community over here. I would love to hear some more insights from you. Like, what do you see where the community can grow in terms of business?
Oh, that oof, it's I mean, I just love looking at the our ummah and our business community. I had such a great time joining you, Kashif, at some of MCOB's meetings, and just enjoyed talking to everybody. And I feel what's really going on going to these meetings. I feel like there's so many people that are brilliant, that have so many ideas and are working on these ideas. But I also feel there's so many people working on the same idea, right? And
Yes.
it's not getting anywhere because you have one guy trying to solve this huge problem
Hmm.
versus getting all those experts together under one house that is well funded, right? Because we're going to go public, or we know we're going to go public in under 2 years, or whatever time it takes, and housing them all in one single place and all solving that problem together. Okay, like I've met, for example, I've met so many brothers, let's say, that are doing import export, right? And let's say they're doing it in I don't know, a particular country, Pakistan, right? There's probably like 1,000 brothers doing the same thing, right?
Yes.
And to me, it's like, okay, well, why don't half of them get together, right? With their expertise, all become shareholders, right? Of
Hmm.
the same company, and grow a massive revenue-driven uh, company that you then can go get public funding for. You see, and this is true for every. I mean, Brother Kashyap, you probably know the industries better than I do, right? But it's quite fractious, right? And it's I'm not sure how we can put it out there, how as this platform would be able to
Hmm.
position ourselves to be able to start unifying and organizing, right? I feel that there's a lot of organization from community leaders such as yourself that can help with this process. And see, before as a private company, uh, everyone has their own ideas. Everyone wants their own autonomy,
Hmm.
decision making, because it's such a small little business, right? But
Hmm.
what if we were to put together $1 billion in revenue, annual revenue, right? And and have all the brothers and sisters that are interested in supporting a Pakistani import export company, right?
Hmm.
To rally behind, right? We put the news out there, you know, and people get to know us, and we build credibility with the community, and they're like, man, this is a really good company and has really good principles that I agree with, and in the future, if there's any need, there will be support for whatever that community need is. For example, on October 7th, I mean, I see that there's companies that support different sides of the debate,
Hmm.
uh, right? And that's causing us to protest and BDS movement and all that. But as far as I see, I don't see our companies kind of out there supporting in a massive public way, right? Hopefully, we can do that together, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely, inshallah, we would be there soon. And we talked about the benefits of going IPO. What are some of the disadvantages of going public?
Okay, so what are the disadvantages? Okay, it's kind of funny. The disadvantages it's like kind of discussing what are the disadvantages of marriage, right? It's like you have to communicate better, right? You have to respect one another more. You have to build a vision together with somebody for the rest of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the disadvantages, if you want to call them disadvantages, right? Uh, I don't, right? I think those are all positive things. We all should communicate, respect, love one another, have a long-term vision for one another, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
private company, you could make a U-turn at any single point
Yes.
uh, at any time that you want, right? And so I don't uh, people. Okay, how about this? What if I were to address some kind of like misunderstandings or clarify some things? For example, if you go online and you search going public, right? One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that they always say is, well, as a public company, you're going to lose control. Okay. Well,
Okay.
that's absolutely false. In fact, it's harder to lose control of a public company than it is a private company. Okay. In a private company, the only thing that has to happen is you're under 51%, right? And you lose control. Okay. In a public company, that doesn't happen. Okay. If you look at Bill Gates, he's had control of Microsoft for 40 years and he's had less than 10% of the shares, right? He was a chairman of the board, he was a CEO. But what people don't know is he has a vote. It's called a super voting share. Okay. And the super voting shares does lose control as a publicly traded company. Okay. So that's definitely not a disadvantage because there's solutions for everything. And there's another thing. People think that if you go public, that you have to stick to certain stringent, you can't do, like, you're basically handcuffed and have to do things a certain way. Well, this is what I've learned. Okay. What I've learned in publicly traded companies is that you, as long as you disclose, you don't have to ask for permission. Okay. So as long
Okay.
as you're telling people up front, this is what we're going to do with the money. This is where the vision of the company that we're taking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then, as long as you basically tell people in your quarterly and your annual financials, this is exactly what we're doing, you're absolutely fine. Now, if you hide it, okay, let's say you decide to build a new division that has nothing to do with the current vision of the company, you hide it, and it's discovered. Yeah, you're gonna have an issue for sure. So it's better to over disclose than it is to under disclose. So the disadvantages of being a publicly traded company, I feel, at least what people think they are, actually helps you to be a better company. Actually, right? It's not good to commingle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. So instead of commingling, why don't you give yourself a salary, a good salary, a good bonus, annual bonus for meeting performance needs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know, uh, uh, versus well, I'm gonna use my private company to pay for my mortgage and this and that, right? And pay as little tax at the end of the year. See, those things don't make you a better business person,
Yeah.
right? It just makes you more cunning person. And I don't think that in order for a community to jump to the next level as business people, we
Mm-hmm.
need to stop thinking like that, right? We need to, like, how do we work together with everyone to bring up everyone's wealth instead of yourself? And there's a framework, right? America is the freest country out there, as far as I know. Capitalistically, it's the freest company out there in order to make it. And if you can't make it here, I mean, it's gonna you could have a problem anywhere in the world. So we could be better than that, and we could be principled, and we could do all these things. It's just a matter of going through it, like anything in life, right? You got to get on the bike, you got to pedal around before you're going to learn how to ride the bike. And I feel that I personally have can help with that from A to Z. From IPO readiness, from your
Mm-hmm.
company just started, let's just say started a year ago, and how do we structure to get there, right? In a couple of years where we are public and we're positioned for funding, all the way to a mature company that's been around for 20 years and just needs to list and then actually learn the ins and outs of actually running the company, right? And having a public face to it, right? This is all quite easy stuff, right? Nothing beyond. The hard part has already been done. You guys built the business already.
Okay. So you mentioned about so the company started like a year ago or 2 years ago. How long does it usually take for the whole IPO process to happen
Okay,
or
so that's
start?
going to, yeah, so that's just going to depend on us qualifying. Let's say I take a look at your company financials and I see, okay, there's a way there's a path to IPO here, and we start the process. Okay, so um, what we're not going to do, what we're not going to do, okay, because it's done so backwards. A lot of people they go, oh, I know investment banker. Just stop right there, right? Like that's the worst thing to do because these guys are, as soon as you present yourself, they're thinking about how can I carve you up into pieces and chew you up and spit you out. and, and what I've known is investment bankers, all they do is say yes to everything, right? And they don't
Mhm.
provide any solutions. Their goal is to lock you up. Okay, so the first thing we do is uh, if there is a path to IPO, we take a look at your financials. And what we got to do is we got to get audit financials done.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is a process because you do need a CFO that knows what they're doing. You need an accounting team that knows PCAOB audit. And if you don't have them in-house, it's fine. There's solutions out there for everything, right? So there's
Mhm.
there's third-party companies that do all these things for you, and they train you and they help you. And uh, that, how long does that take? Well, that depends, because I dealt with a company that had a lot of commingling, and
Okay.
which is fine. It doesn't matter if you commingle or not, right? It doesn't matter if you use the paid mortgage, but what needs to happen is those expenses have to get reclassified under personal, and guess what? You're going to have to pay uh, income tax on that reclassification. So I've had clients that had to reclass over $1 million worth of worth of income,
Mhm.
and so now they're paying a few 100,000 in taxes, but they're still happily doing it, right? The reason why they're happily doing it is because their future is so large, right? And so, in 1 or 2 years' time after doing your audit, how clean you clean it up, you present the book, it's clean. Then what you do is you get a legal company, a law firm to back you up, and it's really good idea to get law firms that are known, okay? Because these known law firms, they have these connections, right? The audit side, I don't think is too important, right? But the legal side, you have to know, you have to have a good name that presents well on to the NASDAQ, to the New York Stock Exchange, that will get you on with no questions asked, basically. So,
Okay.
yeah, about 1 or 2 years to do it, depending on your book, basically.
Okay. All right. No, thank you for sharing all this knowledge and expertise of yours. If somebody would like to connect with you, what's the best way to reach out?
Oh, please email me and send me your phone number. And my email that I use is John, John, at JV Law Corp. So that's JV as a junior varsity, LAW for law, and then CORP.com. Okay. And please send me your phone number and please tell me a little bit about your company, and we'll schedule a time to talk.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, I am open for the community. I just want you guys to know that. I want to be a resource for everyone, and when it comes to the legal business side of things, there's no charge on my part. Don't even worry about that. That's not a big deal. What's most important is I find a bunch of principled business people that we could share a future with. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for that vision. Thank you so much for the passion that you bring in to this. And helping the community grow and get to the next level to truly achieve the economic empowerment. Because right
Thank
now we are still a young community, and we always think about like today, not even tomorrow. And we have to have the mindset of thinking about 100 years from now, when we all are dead, and
you. Yes.
then how things are going to happen 100 years from now, and that's how the communities are built. So thank you again, John, and looking forward to continuing the conversations later. And it was great having you on the show today.
You're welcome, brother. Thank you so much. May Allah bless us and bless you specifically for this platform.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.